Hi, hi everyone. Um, right, today I'm doing this live about Biggie. I have a story to tell. I've got a story to tell. Documentary that's on Netflix. I don't know if some of you guys have seen it. Right, so I will be talking about how a little bit of a recap of how the documentary went. I mean, in the beginning, it's all a little bit mixed up. I mean, it all plays off in different years. It jumps from 92 to 95 to 1993. So I'll just kind of give you a little idea of what was on it. I mean, it was a little bit more interesting than other documentaries that I've seen because um, usually the mom is not necessarily involved, but Miss Wallace is actually in this. She actually speaks about her son very lovingly. She talks about how, her life and a little bit of a backstory. I mean, it starts a little bit with his mom. Obviously, she talks about the moment she got the call um, from a friend. Hi, Doreen. When the moment she got a call from a friend who actually rang her the day that her son died, and then it kind of jumps into P. Diddy talking about how he kind of met him and how talented he was. And then it actually kind of starts. So it starts with like a home video VHC type camera recording footage that basically they film. His friend D-Rock, Damien, films this while they're always on tour and stuff like that. So you see a lot of that footage, home video footage of them messing around, getting ready to go on tour, um, you know, just, messing about really, as guys do. And it's obviously Junior Mafia and Christopher Wallace, who was not known yet as Biggie back then, but he grew up in Brooklyn. So his mom actually moved from Jamaica, Trelawney, I think it's called, in Jamaica, and moved to the US, obviously, to get a better life. And then she had met his dad. His dad's name is Selwyn. And after she'd met his dad, I think they kind of had a little thing going on, bit of a relationship, fell out. She fell pregnant, and found out in the end that he was married. So that wasn't very nice. And then she obviously has Christopher, aka Biggie, and he grows up in the neighborhood in Brooklyn, goes to a Catholic school, has a lot of childhood friends. He meets his friend Hubert, who he's met in Catholic school, and he, grew up with him. And as they went through their teenage years, they were kind of introduced at 12, 13. He was introduced to hip hop music. So he really kind of got interested in that, and went on and kind of started writing rhymes in a notebook, and, kind of being creative with words and how to put things together, and started learning more about the craft really, and, honing in his skills from a very young age. So then, afterwards, yeah, he was actually married. And then afterwards, and he, by the way, his dad never comes back. After she falls pregnant, he tries to come and see her, kind of like a booty call thing, and she's like, no, she doesn't. The mom, Miss Wallace, was like, she wasn't having that. She was going to work, trying to raise her son, studying in the evenings, you know what I mean? So she was just trying to do her best as a single mom, when the dad only wanted to come over at night, and she wasn't having that. She was like, you come over in the morning or don't bother. And she never heard from him again. So that was the story with the dad. I mean, he was always very, well, would you say resentful? He was like, I don't really need a dad. What's he going to tell me? What am I going to ask him? Like, I don't really care, because I don't even know this man. He said another word, but he doesn't even know him. He doesn't know nothing about him, barely seen a picture. So she's just carried on and raised her son on her own. She was working 9 to 5. So while she's always away from home, he'd be, on the porch, because he wasn't really allowed to move from the porch, right? All his childhood friends in the documentary said his mom was always at the window or telling him that you need to be there, so she could see him and call him from the window. So he would never move from his front porch. seems like a nice innocent kid, right? And his mom seems like a lovely lady. Like, even when she speaks, she sounds so educated and well put together, and just came to America to give her son a better life. And obviously she didn't realize that her son was going to get into the music thing and become as big as he did, you know what I mean? But I mean, there's a little bit about how he got into getting to know friends who were more streetwise, because he went to a Catholic school where they wore full uniform, whereas the friends he actually had went to normal public schools, and it was just in the hood, right? So he got to know people who were more on the streets, hustling, doing this. So he kind of, Christopher kind of got into that. And then in the background, obviously, him and his childhood friends were all just, trying to make beats and music and always doing that type of stuff. This is all during the time that in the 80s, when Big Daddy Kane, I think, was famous, and LL Cool J, and all these guys. So they looked up to him and tried to emulate them, and kind of was always judging their flow and stuff, as friends. And then as he got into the hustling more, he got to kind of, not a good relationship with money making on the street corner. So he started hustling, making money on the street corner. And then as he's doing that, he's obviously still trying to push for his music. And then as it carries on, he then, him and his crew, which is kind of like his childhood friends, Lil C's from Junior Mafia, and he kind of puts them all together in a way. And then they end up being called Junior Mafia, because every time they would go on stage, Biggie would kind of shout out Junior Mafia, So all those people that were kind of in his clique, a lot of them are from his childhood. So when they were on the street corner hustling, these are the same people that later on, as they are coming up with the music thing, they're coming up with him, kind of. So you get to know Little C's, you get to know D-Rock, that's Damien, his friend. Then you've got another guy who's a big producer that Puffy kind of introduced him to. I mean, Puffy back then, the way they got to know each other is he was kind of like a uptown music guy who was looking for the latest thing going and stuff like that. So he would give people new opportunities. So he must have heard through somebody that, yo, what's going on? He got in touch with The Source, which is Black magazine. I'm sure many of you know. And asked the guy who owns it, like, is there anything new going? And actually, funny enough, he had just received a tape from Biggie, because he would send his tapes around and stuff. But every time that somebody would hear it, people knew he was talented. Like, they just wanted to see who this kid was. So Puffy then, moving forward, invites him over to the office and gets a meeting in with him. And they then, say to him, can you throw a few rhymes? And Biggie actually throws a sick rhyme, obviously on the spot, Puffy says. And I call him Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever, Puff Daddy. He then says, this kid who seemed so nice in real life, he couldn't believe that that's how raw he was on tape. So it was really him. So from then on, it moves to like him it jumps to like 1993, where he's then on stage, selling out all sorts of places and slowly coming up, everybody knew his name. But the funny thing is, they were still on the street corners. So while they're there on the street corners, they'd be seeing cars like, driving by with their music playing, and then they'd see like five cars drive by, and they're thinking, hold on, why are we still on the street corner? And they are out here like, making money off of their music. So one of the friends, D-Rock, Damien, says, this is not right. So he kind of gets on Puffy's case, and Puffy promises them more money, and, and then slowly he breaks, doesn't he? And then there's one particular guy that keeps coming up, right? His childhood friend named Ollie. He is a hustler on a street corner who kind of introduced him to this stuff. Now, Ollie is affiliated with this drug family, right? Who is very, very well known for, distributing this, and had a very strong hold in the area. One day, this particular guy gets murdered by his own uncle. So you know, Biggie gets the news and he's devastated because this is one of his really, really close friends who was always pushing his name forward in clubs and places and always said this guy's going to make it. So he was really devastated. But from that moment on, a lot of his friends realized that he was going in hard, like he was now serious about the music. So from then on, they made that album Ready to Die that won so many awards and stuff like that. And then it goes to them kind of looking up to Tupac and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. You know, the album Chronic had dropped at that point. So they're thinking these guys over there are, you know, making major money, doing big deals. Like they wanted a piece of the pie, basically. So they started to up their game a little bit. But by this time, Puffy had been, how do you say it, fired from the Uptown Music, you know, the music label. So they were kind of lost, like, what are we going to do? We don't have Puffy anymore. So then afterwards, Puffy decided he's going to start his own label, you know, Bad Boys, as you all know. And then it just kind of jumps to, what do you say, you know, little bits of when they used to go to Jamaica. His mom said, you know, she would try very hard every year to save up money and go to Jamaica. So you saw lovely bits where they kind of were in Jamaica. You saw the grandmother who spoke very fondly of her grandson and said they would come every holidays. And then you would see, you know, bits of their concerts, and they would tape a lot. So it was a lot of VHS videotaping type stuff where they were, you know, you could see the backstage and the guys just smoking and talking about jewelry and the things they bought, and kind of like how they were keeping up their image, the latest trainers and buying the latest jewelry. And then it jumps into where the crime actually occurred, where Tupac now gets shot, you know, and then they obviously think it's him. The drama continues. And then, you know, we all know in the end, he gets shot. And his mom actually gets the call from one of his best friends who's just crying on the phone and lets her know, you know, your son has passed away. And she knew, even before he said he's passed away, from the crying, that something was wrong. So, yeah, I mean, you see bits of the procession of the funeral that was going over the Brooklyn Bridge. And then when it gets back to, you know, the neighborhood that he's from, I mean, the streets were packed, like overflowing with people. They were all celebrating his music and everything he was about. I mean, all in all, it was a good little backstage type pass, because I don't think we've seen this type of backstage footage and real footage of him just being himself and, you know, blowing smoke into the camera and talking about this and that and how his life was. And, you know, it was really, really interesting, I thought. But, you know, I'm not going to hold you guys too long. If you guys have watched it or not watched it, you know, come and join me, see what you think. I mean, what do you think? Was it a good time to actually do a documentary? You know what I mean? Like, people have tried it before. I mean, I personally thought it was great. I actually thought it was amazing. I thought it was good, very well put together. Puffy wasn't in it too much. It was mainly about actually who really, really knew him. His uncle Dave came up as well at one point and spoke about how, you know, the music influence he picked up from Jamaica really helped, because every year when he would come back to Brooklyn, he would come back with different styles and different things. And he had learned so much from his uncle, because his uncle used to be one of those people kind of spitting and chatting lyrics on the mic in Jamaica. So he was kind of into that. And then, yeah, I mean, it was a nice little put together documentary, to be honest. I thought it was quite entertaining. I mean, it was very sad. It was nice, and you know, to see his mom. I mean, I can't praise her enough. She seems like a lovely, lovely lady. She seems like she's done a very good job trying to raise this young black man. You know what I mean? And obviously, she didn't want him hustling and doing stuff on the street corner, but you know, she wanted him to make something of himself. And in the end, she was very, very proud that her son actually made something of himself, you know. And then actually she celebrates the fact that she was in his Juicy video as well, because she's in his Juicy video. You see her in the video holding up Source magazine and stuff. Hi, Leslie. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. What did you think?
Hey, my computer's acting up. Can you hear me
It
okay?
is. You're lagging. Yes, I can hear you, but you're frozen now.
Is my computer acting up?
Yeah, you're frozen.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try moving it to a different spot in the room.
Oh, it stopped. Okay, fine.
Ah, I hate this hotel. Is this better?
But yeah, I'll try you again in a minute if you want. Yeah, so I actually liked it. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. Don't be shy. You can come up and let me know what you think. His daughter as well, actually, the bit that I missed, he had a girlfriend named Jan, who in the end actually had his daughter Tiana. So he had his daughter and he was actually like really pleased and happy to be a dad. You know, his mom was quite worried because she was like, how are you going to look after this kid? Because all she could remember is what she went through with her son, you know, having multiple jobs and, you know, studying in the morning and studying at night. Biggie always talks about how his mom went to school and did all these things for him. So in the end, he actually wisened up with his money and really tried to, how do you say, really try to, you know, sort himself out and expand his business and not just do music and do like other stuff, you know, expand into making clothes and a whole, you know, enterprise, as you would say. Oh, hi.
What's up?
You're right.
Yeah, I'm good. How you doing? What's up, Leslie?
You're there multitasking on me, are you?
Yeah, I'm multitasking. I ain't even gonna lie.
No, it's all right.
But
But
now,
yeah,
take me
did you
back.
get a little bit of an idea of what it's about though? I know you haven't seen it.
You said it. You said that the mom opened up a clothing line for him.
The mom.
I mean, well, that's good because at least she's gaining all his assets.
No,
You
no,
know.
she didn't. What I'm saying is in the end, Puffy had said that he wanted to, what do you call it? He wanted to like expand and not just make money and sit down. You know, he wanted to do other businesses and make sure his family was set up and that his daughter was looked after. And you know what I mean? Like he wanted to do different things, but obviously in the end, you know, he didn't make it, did he? Unfortunately. So
What has Diddy did for the family though? Because
I
I know he
honestly,
has a lot of
I couldn't tell you. I mean, he was there talking, and this is another thing that actually was kind of interesting. He says that in the beginning, when he was working for Uptown, he kind of basically is pushing Biggie to be out here and trying to get him deals with different producers. But then he actually, when the day is done doing business, Puffy is going back to his condo in Harlem because that's where he was from, right? And
Was it from Jersey?
Biggie would stay in the hood,
Mhm.
still hustling. You understand? Sometimes Puffy said, sometimes Biggie had no food, but he would hide that from him. Like Puffy found out later on that sometimes Biggie was going without things, like in the beginning, because they wasn't really making that money. Whereas Puffy already had that uptown decent job, you know, at this label and living in a condo. So that, you know, that kind of was a little bit like, really though, Puffy, like you've always had it okay. You've never really been in the hood. And Puffy was actually scared of going to what do they call it? What do they call the hood? The hood that he was living in.
Bed-Stuy.
I've got it here somewhere.
Bed-Stuy.
You carry on.
He was in Bed-Stuy.
Yes, Bed-Stuy. Yeah. Yeah, so people didn't even want to go down there. Puffy said, I couldn't just go down there because you would get robbed. So,
Damn.
you know, yeah, that's how bad it was.
Brooklyn
Yeah,
hood was hood. Like
it
I'm
was
not gonna
proper
lie.
hood.
There were certain
Yeah,
places where I wasn't allowed to go. Where if I went, I was gonna get grounded.
yeah, yeah. Hence why he was never allowed to leave the front porch. All his friends said his mom would always be calling from the window, Christopher, come and eat. Christopher, come and, you know, and his mom would be the only one calling him Christopher. Everybody else called him Big or whatever, you know, from a young age.
Yeah, and there were a lot of pockets like that in Brooklyn. Like my cousins grew up in Crown Heights, and I remember I would go to their house. Like we
Yeah.
were allowed to play within 3 houses, and it was like
Yeah.
just brownstones. Like it looked like the Huxtables, but you wouldn't leave the block. Like you just you were gonna get in trouble. Like they knew. Like our parents even knew what kind of candy the corner store sold versus the candy.
Yeah, I mean, they said at one point it held the murder rate. Like it had the highest murder rate all the time, that area.
Yeah,
people were just dropping dead.
It's kind of crazy though, because like when you think about it, like a lot of the rappers that got really big that came out of Brooklyn, they their drugs.
Yeah.
Jay-Z did it, Biggie did it. Like that's how they financed getting time.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, because he was still on the corner, like he was still on the street, even though his music was selling. He was still, and a lot of them, all of his, that group of friends that were speaking, they said they all thought this ain't gonna happen for us. Like, yeah, we might have things going on here and there, but do we really, they were always doubting the fact that, will this really happen for us? We need this to fall back on. And Biggie would always say, if this doesn't work with Puffy, I'm going back to the street. Like, I'm going back. So, and Puffy always tried to advise him. Like, at one point, they decided to all go to North Carolina because apparently what they were selling for $5 was worth 20. So they were like, we're going to North Carolina to make some money. And at this point, Puffy was like deep in with him. So Puffy used to tell him, this ain't worth it, because apparently Puffy's dad was on the street doing dodgy stuff and he got killed. So he was always advising him, like, you're either going to end up in jail or you're going to, end up dead. So you need to get out of this and just focus on the music. But then, like I said, when his friend gets murdered by his own uncle, right, in this gang thing, due to principle, they said, the friends all said it was due to principle. So must have been some hood rule, whatever, right? He killed his own nephew. The shop owners shot back and killed him. And then he must have injured about 4 people. So the 2 of them died together. There was just no point in that crime. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it was just a lot.
No point in any of it. Like everybody thinks like, this is like some, like, I'm not going to lie. We were teenagers. We were listening. Like Biggie Smalls was like a cultural revolution for Brooklyn. Like it was, that's who we were. Like you listen to it and you're just like, oh my God, you remember doing this? You remember doing that? Oh my God. Biggie talked about wearing a Coogee sweater. Everybody went out and bought a Coogee sweater. Like it was just what we did. And it was a great time in our lives. But at the same time, as an adult, I look back and I'm like, wow, we were actually like glorifying this person who was talking about these horrendous things and we were singing along with it like it was nothing,
Yeah.
And thank God our parents were like so far up our behinds that we never got to do any of it.
Yeah. And then actually there was a neighbor as well called Davidson Harrison, or Donald Harrison. Yeah. And he was like the neighbor who was that what was he playing? The trumpet or the saxophone? Was that right? He was a saxophone player and had experience with music, and he would see Biggie and got to know him as a neighbor, right? And hiya, Blavi. And he taught Biggie a lot about the old school ways of how to put rhythm into melody, or make rhythm a melody, should I say.
Yeah,
and
like
he really learned about music, you know what I mean? That's why his skills and the way he rapped was so different to everybody else,
Yeah, he had like a cadence to him. Like it was like, you could honestly memorize a Biggie Smalls song and like, you know what I mean? It was like, and there's still lines, like people say certain things and I'm just like somebody says like, oh, put that up, and I'm like, put them up, yo, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's just like, I don't know, I guess it's just because of the age.
You must remember the song that he first like kind of got big, the one with niggas be party and bullshit and party, that one. Bullshit. Yeah, you see, that's the one. That's the one they were talking about. Like it was really big back then, and they were still on the street.
When you think about it as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, I would have been horrified if my 14-year-old would have been this the way we were. I mean, like we ran around with lumberjack jackets on, like little girls, like little like we thought we were hood. We weren't. We grew up in Park Slope, like we were furthest from the hood as possible. But he kept saying Brooklyn, and we were from Brooklyn, so you know.
Yeah.
So what was the thing with Tupac in there? Ain't Tupac from New York too as well?
No, with Tupac, they mainly showed like the fact that the West Coast music was banging. Dr. Dre was doing the Chronic album, you know, Snoop Dogg was banging, and they were everywhere basically.
But wasn't the thing with Tupac that Tupac was with Faith, and then Biggie got with Faith?
Yeah, but they didn't really say much about that. Faith had probably, if you count how long she was in it, less than 10 minutes. Like, she spoke very little. So she wasn't in it much at all. She only commented on the fact that his mom calls him Christopher and everybody else calls him Biggie. But Little Kim, you could see her in the home videos because she was always there with Junior Mafia, kind of in the background and stuff. So, but even Little Kim, she wasn't on it. They didn't really show the fact that his wife or anything. They just said he met this girl. The mom said he met this girl and brought her home. It was his girlfriend, she said. And then one day he told her she's pregnant. And that's how it went. And she had the baby. But they didn't really speak about infidelity or the women he was dating. It was mainly based on his craft and the music and how he really became that musical genius. You know how people would say, right?
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. What's up, Blobby?
Hi. Yeah, I've just been busy, but no. I said I've been busy, but I saw parts of it. So it's interesting because I actually went to college with his daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His daughter. Yeah, his first daughter. The one he had with his girlfriend, yeah. She was a lovely girl. And it was just interesting seeing, like, you know, the artistry, because people rarely talk about that when they talk about him. It's always like him and Tupac and their beef, you know? And the whole East Coast versus West Coast thing.
Yeah, no, this was proper about the work, wasn't it? Like, it really showed you how he learned about old school people. Like, he was learning about people that were playing the drums and stuff and making rhythm into melody. Like I said, like old school players who were known for their craft, and he would implement that into his songs, like the cover that he did over the Africa song. That's bad. Like, when they show that in the documentary, he does the cover of that Toto song, the Africa. And it's like really, really good. The way his flow is and everything is different.
Yeah. I mean,
hi, chime in, D. Brooke.
I haven't seen it. I'm trying to get set up. I like just walked in the door. I'm exhausted. Been up since like 3:30. I haven't seen it. I cannot believe it. I thought it came out like it's going to come out like Friday. I didn't even know it was on. That ain't it. Forget it. I'm all out of sorts right now because I like just walked in the door. I've been listening the whole time.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
Part of what you were saying is very true within hip hop. This is how it was. Like sitting at the lunch table with one pencil make three sounds. That's just part of how it was back in the day, and I'm so glad you brought up like with Big Daddy Kane's and the LLs, you know, being the influence of Biggie and how he shaped him, but it was deeper than that because it went back to high school.
Yeah,
it really did.
You know, because
if you look it up where that high school was, who else went there? There's a lot of other people. Or maybe I might be confusing that with Jay-Z because there was
a Catholic school.
There was 3 major artists, actually 4 or 5, that like there was a cipher at the high school. You know, it was Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes. I believe Biggie was there as a freshman. They all, what was it? Jay-Z graduated in like 72 or something. You know, I hope they touched on stuff like that. You know, because it's not really known. It wasn't documented. People didn't have video cameras like that back in the 70s.
No.
You know, unless it was your parents, like on birthdays, and that's it. And I really wanted to see it. What is it on Netflix or Hulu?
Yeah,
Netflix.
Amazon.
Huh? Yeah,
Netflix.
Okay. I got to get my password right. I haven't been on Netflix in a while.
It was good. It was good to see it about the music. Because so much time it's about the violence, and it's about.
I mean, the violence was, they mentioned Tupac, skipped over it. Then, you know, they spoke about him and his funeral procession. I mean, the whole of Brooklyn was out. Like, there were so many people celebrating him, and his mom loved the fact that that many people really loved him. Her son was really loved. You know, it was just nice to see that side, and even seeing his mom, man. I love seeing his mom speak. She seems like such a nice lady, like very well put together.
Yeah.
I feel bad for his children though, because like they were super young when he died.
Yeah.
So how was his did you ever get to talk to his daughter about like how was growing up?
Well, I didn't really talk to his daughter about like she wasn't like my close friend. I had just met her because I went to a party and they were like, "Oh, that's Biggie's daughter." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't really like Biggie's he's not one of my faves. I don't hate him. He's just not one of my favorites. But we didn't really talk about that. Like she was just a cool chick, and we were just talking about like life, like about school and stuff like that. Like I just didn't want to just meet somebody and then be like, "Oh my gosh, you're a celebrity." I wanted her to have her own sort of way.
Identity. Yeah.
I agree. Definitely. I agree. Now that's good. Let her be her own person.
That's awesome though that she's actually educated, you know, that it seems like grandma did her job well, because it seems like education was really important to her. That they actually kept up with that and didn't let her live like this kind of like pseudo royalty, you know, like this Brooklyn royalty life. Because she could have just gotten away with just being Biggie's daughter for the rest of her life and gotten whatever she wanted, you know? Because
and it's crazy how the mom just was determined to focus and look after her son, and you know, not like, because I don't think she ever had somebody else like that in his life. He never had like a stepdad or anything.
What about his son?
No,
they didn't talk about his son?
No.
They didn't bring up his son in there?
No, they just talked about his daughter.
His son is a famous actor right now, I think. That's his son in these movies and stuff with Will Ferrell. You know, his son he looks just like him.
Which one?
It's the movie with Will Ferrell when he's like selling stuff outside of his house. He's like selling stuff outside. It's a comedy movie, but it hits some point to where stuff is like it's like very sad a little bit, you know. So when I seen the movie and I seen him in it, it was saying it was Biggie's small son. Yeah. His son is doing movies now and stuff. So I'm surprised they didn't ever bring up his son, and his son was in the documentary. It seems like the documentary are leaving out a lot of information that we need to know about Biggie, because I understand his music. Now his music was good, but I'm with a blog on this one. I wasn't a fan of him either. I was more of a fan of Tupac a little bit, but Biggie didn't have that music. He didn't have like that. I would say that shoot 'em up, bang bang, gang banging type of music like pop. You know, so his music was like more party music. Like, but when he made his music, it's very catchy and it had a good vibe. I'm not gonna like real good vibe to his music. But the reason I think that the stuff had blew up with him and Pop, it was because of mainstream media. You know, they had
100%. It's like people wanted the beef to go on, you know? People wanted them to have that clash thing. It wasn't even like that. He was actually, Biggie was like, why would I want to do that to somebody? Like, why? I haven't got nothing to do with this man. Like, he's doing his thing over there and I'm over here. But remember, it's always entertaining to kind of put people in a battle. Same with, you know, like right now, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, all these artists, people are putting them against one another and comparing.
Now, let's be honest. That's not the same. One has a little bit of talent. One has none. That's like
no, it's not the same. Not the two girls, but what I mean is the concept of two people. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, as far as the beef, if you look at it, they was cool, and the beef didn't start with them. It didn't. It started with
always
camp
the bubble around
camp.
you. Always.
Yes, it was camp against camp, and then it just 100%. Like filtered out. Hey, I heard. Biggie was like, "Oh, I heard blah blah blah. This about Tupac. He did a song.
And
like,
remember,
blah, blah, blah. Oh, I
everybody's
did your wife or whatever." And on that track, and
everybody's got hood connections. Everybody's got hood connections. This is the problem. If they all have those slight, his own friend, was a nephew of a big known gang in the area. I don't know if you've heard of them. I think they were called the Bazemores. They said, didn't they? The Bazemores. They were known in that area. I wasn't allowed
around those types of people.
Yeah, I'm sure you were too young or whatever. But
I was
it was just a lot of gang activity there. Do you know what I mean? So they all had those connections going into this music business for protection, for backup. When they go out to certain clubs and certain areas, you want to know people, don't you? To back yourself up and make yourself more comfortable or feel more confident in going to certain places. But I mean, I liked the documentary. I liked it. If I rate it, right?
Watching it, but it's like so far what I've seen has been well done.
Yeah, music. It was nice to know the neighbor who taught him about music. You know what I mean? It was nice to know those things. The fact that he actually that he was into R&B. P. Diddy said,
of course, he had a good singing voice. He had a very good singing voice.
Yeah. Go on, Ablavi.
I said Diddy loved it because the song Juicy, my father loves it. It's an R&B song in the 70s, and he's like, no, that's not the right one. And especially Diddy, he really likes jazz, R&B. He likes like that 70s funk, adelic. He's very much a flower child, like the way he likes his music.
Yeah.
Well, you had it right. It was the jazz part, because that's what New York was with producing with the music. It was always jazz, and then on the West Coast, it was always that G-funk or funk. 70s
and for example, he had heard Diana Ross's the one that he's got in his song. Come on, work with me, people. The What's Diana Ross background. Remember, he's got the Diana Ross tune within.
Oh yeah, coming out.
Yes, right. He must have heard that song and then said to P. Diddy, like, yo, you need to hook me up. Like, I want to. And then she's on the track and he just raps on it. Like, those type of things hadn't been done before. That genre to be mixed with that genre. Do you know what I mean? That's what was unique about him, because he could hear the instruments playing in the back. Like, he can hear the foundation of the song. Hence why he can say, hold on, I can rap to those notes, you know what I mean, and hit my bars on top of that beat. Whereas people like us who probably don't have an ear for it, you know what I mean? We listen to the music as a whole. But he really had an ear for knowing what old school song to kind of pick up and mix in with it, because his mom used to listen to that genre. His mom said all she knew was country and soul, and you know what I mean? She didn't really know anything else, and that's all he heard. Yeah.
Look at Gio moving up.
I always thought that what do you call it? That it was P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever he prefers to be called now. That it was him who was like sample hungry. So it was interesting to know that it was actually Biggie that was like into the sampling and the bringing in the old tunes and stuff. Because I was like, oh man, there goes Diddy with the sample. There goes Diddy.
That was the thing. Diddy was more of the coordinator, like a Khalid. He's not the one making the beats, and he had his own producer get with whatchamacallit. He's like, hey, what do you like? What do you like? What sample do you like? Boom. Biggie picks out a sample. Boom. Make the beat. He already got the rhymes made up. Couple takes.
I'll see you later. I gotta go live. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see you over there.
Oh yeah.
Gio, congratulations on the new place.
Oh, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. I'm just moving around.
I know. You look like you're just moving around.
I like the
look at all the rooms.
I know.
It's a lot of room. It's big and spacious.
Yeah.
Nice. You need it.
Thank you, though.
You are.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see y'all. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Man, I'm trying to find it.
But it was good. I mean, it was good. If I was going to rate it, I would say probably like a 8, 7.5, 8. What would you say, Leslie?
From what I've seen so far, I would say maybe like an 8.5. I really like it. I like the rawness of it. It doesn't seem overproduced.
That's exactly what I mean.
It's kind of like real, honest. which is what a documentary should be.
Yeah, it's not something they've kind of glamorized and put together for show, you know. This is proper the VHS. If you watch it, D Brooke, all you'll see is a lot of.
I've read an article on it, and there's a lot of
all
VHS
you see is a lot of VHS, a lot of old school. Him, Biggie, just smoking and just laughing in the backstage, getting ready to go on stage, just packed out stadiums. You know what I mean? And packed out places. It was crazy.
He was vlogging
it's really
there
nice.
was an internet to vlog on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a look at it after I get.
Yeah, it was really good.
I think
you know, yeah, you guys should check it out anyway. If anybody else wants to join in, I'll drop it one more time, and if not, we'll just wrap it up.
I don't know. So you said, Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I'm probably doing, you know, keep up with the Alan and versus Pharaoh documentary, because episode 2 is out, so I'll probably be reviewing that sometime this week, probably maybe on Saturday after we do Love After Lockup. If you're gonna stay on schedule, I'll probably do it then. Yeah.
What time is that?
But, hey?
What time is that about?
Go on, Gio.
No.
What time do you usually? He usually goes on for 1:30 over there. So
I have an early dinner reservation. Hopefully I can make it on before then.
What have you got?
An early dinner reservation.
Okay.
Yeah. For Saturday. So
no, it's fine. But thanks, you know, for the support, people. You know, you please thumbs up, share, like, share, and subscribe. You know how it goes. My channel is Miss Nabia. I hope you liked the little recap. I didn't want to keep everybody too long, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. You know, I'm happy to reply to comments and stuff if you've got any feedback. And don't forget about the Alan and Pharaoh and First 48. I might throw a First 48 in there if you guys are interested. So
what is Alan and Pharaoh? What is that?
Woody Allen and Mia Farrow documentary.
And all the allegations that have come up.
Yeah, and all the allegations, the thing with his daughter and the abuse allegations.
And his daughter, like, you know, all that stuff.
No, I think is that on HBO? I keep saying HBO, but I don't know if that's the right channel.
Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Alan versus Pharaoh.
Or is it A&E? I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's HBO.
Yeah, it says HBO original, but I don't know.
Oh, so then it's on HBO. If it's
yeah.
Well,
it's on
HBO or HBO Max.
Yeah.
You might be able to get it on Hulu also. You know, sometimes Hulu drops things.
The Alan Farrow thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got links to watch
it's
that.
It's on HBO Max. It's on HBO Max.
Is it?
Or HBO.
ABK just came on. If you want that link, stay in the back. Come in the back, ABK, and then I'll send you the link in the private chat for the what do you call it? So you can catch the Alan and versus Pharaoh episodes, because you were asking me last time. I forgot.
All right. Awesome.
But yeah, that'll be it for today. So thanks everybody for the support. I really appreciate it. You know, anybody wants to say any last thoughts, shout out your channel. You know, my boy Gio, or should I say that side, Gio Malik. You know, follow him, like and subscribe. She's busy again. Like and subscribe. Follow him on IG at Gio. Is it _said_it? And Leslie, nothing.
Peace to my hooligans in Brooklyn.
You're good.
I'm here for support for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for supporting me, guys. I really appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sonia. I'll keep up the contact. Remember, First 48, Alan and Pharaoh. And yeah, let's wrap it up. 1, 2, 3. And bye.
Bye.